Hello and welcome. Today's date comes in that of Friday, the 21st day of February 2020. My name is Derek. This is the Money Charts channel, and welcome. All bets and trades, although there really isn't much to speak on that, within your own risk, your own reward. And really, that's really your own risk reward when you decide how, when, and which ways of getting into things like silver and precious metals. And reflection on really $25 silver, which is something I briefly had on September the 2nd. It looks like it's approaching it now. It got up to $25, close to it in 2017, but not maybe. In 2016 it did for a little bit, and then it was falling from that point and was rising above that point, and that's $25. And I'm going to talk about $25 silver in here as well. But before we get to that, we have this low, September of 2018, year and a half ago. Rally high here. And you can count this as whatever low, but yeah, we'll count this as one low. Then another higher low in the middle of last year at the Fibonacci level of 19 and a third. And then the higher low recently placed in December at around 22. And here it sits at 24 and a half. And it's been showing a lot of strength amongst the weekly term time frame. On the 18 average of highs, looking like it's ready to just get ready to have a big, nice pop, I think. And that's to me what the market analysis is showing me. I really do like how the daily time frame, after breaking out above it, how it's had continued follow through from the February 18th rally. Maybe we resist, and if we resist this, it's like, okay, either way, bullishly, we resist this, maybe we come back down to 23 and 3/4 area here, 23 and 2/3, and then rally higher. Okay, maybe we don't even resist this or congest it, meaning congest it, maybe spend 3, 5, 6 days or whatever at this area, but really not go down or up, and then we just go up higher from there. Either way is, yeah, that's not a surprise, and I don't like the chances of that great resistance in here either. And looking at some prices, and I'm referring to tangibly real prices of real physical silver, and this is no advertisement, but they've done really good business. This is Silver Gold Bulls prices as of 9:27 a.m. Eastern time on this date in Canadian dollars. I've put up 3 different coins: a 10-ounce pure sorted silver bar, a random 1 ounce Canadian Maple Leaf silver coin, and just any random assorted ounce coin as well. I guess that's a round. No, those are rounds, and that's a coin, even though they're pretty much the exact same thing to a degree, or tangibly to the exact same thing. Okay, $29.27 to buy a silver maple, but there's 50 cents off, and if you buy more, quantity discounts. You know, I've been used to paying $25 for these for quite some time. And I suppose I'm talking to like back in here. Well, we're talking. This is a daily chart, so let's go this back to the weekly. Yeah, back in here, all these lower prices in here, and used to spending, like when it was $20 flat, it was 20. You paid your rake, it was 25, and I guess I suppose it was even cheaper during this little down a little bit here, and I probably might have taken advantage of some of those lower prices. Of course, Bitcoin, LITECOIN crosses against that. Would have meant everything too as well, but with higher prices, the premiums right now, well, if I'm paying about, it's 24 and a half, and I'll have to do a little bit of math on this, say 50 cents, that's like $28.77. That's about $4 more. That's under 20%, but not that much far away from it. And here, if I buy a bar, it's $271.38, or $27 an ounce. And if I buy here, and it's $27.75, but $26.95 if I buy 20. That's a big difference, and I don't know if it's been that good of a difference before. That's over 2%. That's 80 cents. That's almost 3%. In fact, it almost technically is. So if you're looking to buying in these in 20, I think you have to buy a roll individually, though. I don't think they come with the free rolls, but they're like nothing. They're like what, $1 or something to buy a roll, if not. And you might already have them, and you might have something else to do. Like if you, I only have one lying around that's empty, but that's one way of getting it for the cheaper price. So $27 an ounce. Here, if I buy a roll, it's $28.61. I get 50 cents off of that. There's a differential of like 67 cents. But if we take a look at this on the big levels, I haven't got to this point. I'm hoping to say yet. I'm saying yet, and I think I will, to the stage where, I want to buy 500 at a time, or 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 at a time. And then these prices, I think, are a little expensive. But at this level, to buy $27 an ounce with 24.5 spots, so you're looking at about 2.5 on top of that. That's 10% extra that you're paying. And then in here, if you're buying 20, that's a lot, 264, but $27 an ounce if you buy one, and $27 an ounce here if you buy 20, I suppose. And I'll go back to the charts though. And amongst the sorted rounds, once I like to get like stuff I've never seen before, different old school stuff. And normally you're just gonna get like the Buffalo rounds or Sunshine Mints, which are all great. Sometimes they'll throw in some really interesting, cool stuff. Again, it's not an advertisement by any means. More along the lines that if you're looking to buy physical silver, they're one place. The reason why I'm into Bitcoin the whole time, as it is from the beginning, literally, was because back in like into 2015, 16, probably definitely into 16, I noticed on their page, we accept Bitcoin. I'm thinking, well, if I ever end up getting it, at least I know I can have a place to flip it easily, and or should be easy, I think. And so that kept my interest in Bitcoin, and then I've been able to accumulate a lot of this precious metal simply from that of trading the Bitcoin and expecting to do the same thing. In fact, I'll take a look at silver against Bitcoin after this. But I really like this monthly setup. So you come up on August month, how we break out. We have this continuation in September going higher, piercing below the Fibonacci mark at 26.5. And then we follow that through with like really a couple back and forth candles below the high, and continue even the next one. Only 3 of them I should say. It's just 3 of this. But now the previous month, January, we have a significant higher low to all of the lows beforehand. And we pierced above the 3 previous highs. And so far, 2/3 of the way through this one, from that great higher low, we technically have a higher low again, albeit barely, but significant, because the market opened way up here at this point here. So we know within this monthly session, we've had the price correction come back down, and it's got back to the open and is now obviously in areas breaking above its previous higher high, which of course was piercing above the highs from before. It's now in the area of this one in here, which when we take a look at this, I suppose it's getting above, well, this one here I suppose it's approaching, but when I see a pattern like this, say on the triple day, a nice little setup again, showing a lot of strength at the 18 highs. We're seeing exitation amongst the previous session, and 3 days and 8 hours left in a 3-hour time frame doesn't make sense. But anyway, maybe because of the weekend, I suppose that makes sense now. The markets, there's going to come a day, I think, when these things aren't going to shut down price. I mean, it shouldn't. There really should never be situations unless your exchange itself needs to have some sort of maintenance of things. Or Binance, as a crypto exchange, had that happen Thursday for several hours. But unless you have something where it should always be traded nonstop, 24/7, that's what I feel anyway. Anyway, back as it goes, as it was back in the day. And this is just the choppiness we've been going through. So getting above that choppiness, this could be an interesting situation. This is dated when? This is dated 2008. So at this stage in here, I had already started my first buy months before this point, when the price was $21 an ounce Canadian. It was up to 21 beforehand. And I ended up buying 2 Canadian maples for $25. I then would assume to buy more. It wasn't 25, but it was pretty decent premium. Down in here, I bought an okay amount. And then after many days after getting out of a market short on October the 10th, which would have been here, so somewhere in here when it was like 12, I ended up buying more silver from the funds, of course, that I did from getting out of the stock market short position. And then all of these days come into play. And during this time frame, my buying of silver throughout, and let me just even go to this entire run in here until the breakout started. When 2009 occurred, I guess we could say, yeah, as it was breaking out, I figured out a place where I could buy precious metals in town at a local coin store. Really hidden in town. I mean, unless you knew where to go, it's almost like a flea market type basis. It's just a small area. And the general price was always about, during here, if you want to buy a maple or an eagle, you're paying $25. That's what he was charging. And that was when it was $17 an ounce, mainly for silver. But I guess a lot of it happened in here. It was $25. I guess sometimes I was getting deals at 23 and 24 maybe. And I was getting other generic rounds for a little less. And then I was getting the dimes and the quarters of dollars for a much better price than those were the best times. Those were good. They were going much higher after, significantly higher. That's bad English. Significantly higher in 2010 as it was back in here. But through the majority of this point, it was always $25 for that. And if I could see a nice coin of collector's value that was around $25, I would maybe pick it up. And then if I found a nice, like a generic one for about 22 or 23, I ended up picking it up, and then all of this happened. And this was this might have been the day right here. In fact, I could probably he was open on, what days was he open on? Tuesdays, Thursdays? I wouldn't even know what Tuesday would have been on here anyway. Market was pretty much at this high. It might have been and probably was October the 14th of 2011. And silver was in the high 24s Canadian. And he ended up selling me silver eagles for like 25. It was like, yeah, I'll take it. That was the last time for ever I would ever buy silver off him for 25 because, well, all of this ended up happening. Prices go up and a little bit of a correctionary move here. And now at this point in here, I've been able to find other ways of buying silver. Just through the people who would help out, who went to different towns, different other flea markets, different places as well. And I was able to get... I didn't buy as much, though, because of the upward prices. I did buy once at the top, and I'm actually looking at that coin right now. It's a 2-ounce coin, $100 I spent. I'm looking at it right now. But I think only once above 40, I should say, and that would have been that near that top. And then I'd find other people on the internet that I was buying from. The silver gold bull would come into play, and it's been a sustained bear market, and now the sustained choppy action that when these things go, they can have, of course. Well, 19. I'll put the U.S. chart up, and then I'll put up the Bitcoin chart up next. So let's go ahead and take a look at against the U.S. dollar, 18.5 U.S. And let's take a look at this. The yearly chart is really sick, I think. I know the gold one was nice. I think silver's is nice too. Look at all these years, 2151. Wow. Anyway, I know the gold yearly chart it's still holding this move here, but I guess you get above 26 US. This thing has the potential to see what happened when I got above the 18 average in here. But yeah, this is the big move that you've seen that it encountered way back when in 1979 and even before. It's just, you see here going $1.25, in early 1970s. A few years later, it's up 6.25. And then from the lows of 4, and really, where's the breakout point in here? You could say breaking out at like 6.5 at January, on January. So the one full year, 6.5 to about 50. So about your 8x kind of move. And well, there's a song, we ain't seen nothing yet. Oh baby, we ain't seen nothing yet. And I think that's the case here. I've spent the last I spent the last 30 or 40 days this last week just going over reasons for why I think that's the case. That's not true. Now, what is true, of course, we haven't seen nothing yet kind of deal. That I highly believe. I think things are going to get really interesting moving forward. And this is silver crossed against Bitcoin, which at one point, this is for 1,000 ounces of silver. It would cost you, it'll cost you 1.9 Bitcoin right now for 1,000 ounces. Before, it was 6,000. At one point, it was 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. So, I mean, prices fluctuate just a little bit here and there. And a little bit means a lot. We can just see, just putting the daily chart up over, from 2019 over the last year and a change, a little over a year. 4 3/4 down to a little over 1. So 4 times volatility. And that's just, of course, this small bit here. Because if we go from this low to this high now, it's like 4.5 down to like 0.84. So that's like 5-6 times. And well, back in here, you needed like 80 Bitcoin to get 1,000 ounces of silver. The Bitcoin, of course, is going to dominate the direction of this chart, at least until silver has anything to say about it. Meaning, if something happens where silver all of a sudden has, like I show, like 4, 5, 6, 8x kind of moves, that could change things a little bit. But an 8x move from 2 is up to 16. Just to put into perspective what an 8x move is right here. But anyway, the movements of Bitcoin, we see Bitcoin bull markets come through, even silver going up at the same time. This thing can crash large. So we see Bitcoin go to 20,000, 30, 50, 60, 80, 100. If Bitcoin goes to 100,000 from here, well, silver would have to go to 185 just to stay at 1.9, which would most likely not be the case. Even in silver going up, what we're going to be like $30, $40, $50 silver, maybe 60, 70 as it's breaking out, unlikely. I mean, if it's 60, 70, we could be talking about $200,000 Bitcoin. And there will probably come a time where this will just go much higher. To me, the question is when, from what price, to what kind of levels on the much higher are we talking, and for what reasons, and to the level of degrees kind of deal. Because if Bitcoin ultimately fails, this thing will just, it would be inflationary, shoot up like no other. If Bitcoin goes way down, again, it's going to control the market, as long as silver's not doing anything, of course, to say no to that. And there could come a time later on where maybe this goes down first, maybe it goes way lower. And you see Bitcoin going to like 150, 200, 250, and silver's hanging in there, not doing anything like that. And then maybe that point might be the end of Bitcoin, at least for its high. And then maybe Bitcoin will ultimately have its fall, and then silver would then just go up on top of it. Then this would go up big, or even Bitcoin survives but gets overextended so large that it has to correct. Maybe Bitcoin goes to like 250,000, where silver is only going up to 50. Next thing you know, 3 years later, silver's at like 800 to 1,000, where Bitcoin's actually down 50 or 60%. Maybe, but for me, accumulating silver is so easy to do. As I mentioned, just when I seen, silver, gold, bull, they accept cryptocurrencies. It's a piece of cake, really. I buy like normal. Okay, I'm gonna buy this. Add this to my inbox, my checkout, my box that you have things on the internet. There's a name for it, checkout box or whatever. And then you check out with it. How do you want to pay? Oh, credit card, which I can even talk about now as well. Let's bring that back up. Because you notice here, credit card, how it costs more. Well, that's because they have to pay fees for PayPal and credit card. Where bill payments, check and Bitcoin, that's not as the fees are lower. Well, Bitcoin's pretty much well, I guess it's the fees on how they convert it from when they get it. But you get the lower fees. It's easy as anything. So I choose Bitcoin, and then when I check out, it'll give me options often, even times. Well, which crypto do you want to choose? You want to choose Bitcoin or Dash or Litecoin or whichever ones are available. I have bought in with Bitcoin and Litecoin. I'm sure other ones would work just as easy but you put in the address that they tell you to put it into, the public key. They'll give you a public key. You can copy paste it. You can scan the image of it and do it that way with the QR code. And then the amount, they'll tell you the amount to pay in the Bitcoin or the Litecoin or the crypto that you choose. You put that amount in. You push send. More times than not, when I push the second button on my Trezor hardware wallet for Bitcoin on the confirm button, the final confirm button, that within about 1.5 seconds, sometimes even quicker, I get that check mark. Oh, we have notification. We have to wait for confirmations and such, but we got notification. We're working on it, kind of deal. I'm like, okay, that's fast. And it's weird for me because every time I do one of the two things, I always count in my head like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi when I'm either A, paying online via a cryptocurrency anywhere, or B, on the brick and mortar. And I got one of those cards that have numbers that start with like a 5, I think, 5-4 something, a whole bunch of numbers, and they got like expiry dates on it too. And then I checked to see how long those take, and it's like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi check mark, 3-4 seconds. I'm thinking, man, that's slow. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye bye.